Hey guys, welcome back to another Gonk Gang video, and today we're going to go through some set 3 previews. With me, I've got the whole Gonk Gang. I've got Max, I've got Martin, I've got Chris, and I've got Jack with me. So we're just going to get straight into it. First card we've got is the Ahsoka Tano new leader. She has the keyword coordinate. If you can tap this card with the action, attack with a unit, it gets +1 for this attack. Gain this ability while you control 3 or more units. And her epic action, if you control 5 or more resources, you deploy the leader. And she comes out in a 3/6. She's Force, Jedi, and Republic. So, boys, what are you thinking of the new card?
I'm not sure how often you're going to get the coordinate ability off because you need 3 units on board. I don't.
Something meant coordinate's gonna be it's either gonna be insane as a keyword or it's gonna be awful because it's gonna be too hard to keep up and whatnot. Because I believe you'd lose it if you lose the 3 units.
Yeah.
So
It's all going to depend on how easy it is to get those new tokens on the board, I guess. We'll have to see. So far, we haven't seen too much, and we'll get into that later.
I think it's going to suit more like Kylo was in this deck. I think it's going to suit more like a unit heavy build.
Yeah, so kind of like just like put units on the board and buff them with something, and then you basically just go, okay, cool. You've got 3, like, because Kylo does that already, doesn't he? Because you get like Stormtrooper, MiGs. You already got 3 units out, so this probably looks kind of similar, I guess.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think it's just going to be full of low cost units. Nothing.
My honest
nothing
opinion
else
on the
really.
card, I feel like it's going to be this set's version of IG. It's just a heroism IG. IG is probably going to get a big buff in this set.
True,
But
because of the
from
droids.
just from what we've seen so far, I think right now Ahsoka and IG go hand in hand. Just unit heavy build, trying to get that little buff out while she's doing stuff with a bunch of units.
Yeah, I'll probably agree. And if we look at the flip side of the card, she's a 3/6. She has coordinate, and this unit gets +2. So it's pretty much this. Well, actually, no, it's different in it because the non-flip side was +1, and now it's +2.
Yeah, but it's only for herself now, so it becomes selfish. But it's always active. It's not an action, and it's an
So
extra.
she's a 5/6 if you have 3 units.
Yep.
yeah,
I mean,
that early on, there's not. It depends what you're playing against, right? If they have like loads of sentinels and stuff, they're just removing all of your units. Then it's gonna be hard to get her to that stat level. But when she's there for 5, that's an insane stat level.
I think it almost forces you to use your leader first when you've brought her out. I don't think you'd really want to be waiting until late in the turn to use it, just in case you'd lose that coordinate keyword.
yeah, she is sitting at like that 6 health mark as well, which is like that's in range of any of them. Like if you're against Maul just runs us over and gets an overwhelm for 1. Wrecker destroys this. Like there's a lot of things that will just kill her if she comes out.
But she is past the takedown range, which is pretty important.
Yeah. However, if she gets +2, she's in Fell Dragon range.
Well, Fellow Dragon can't be used on leader units.
Oh yeah, never mind.
that's right then.
And she's on 5, so she can't be Rival's Fold. Yeah, I think on the turn she comes down, it might be pretty hard to remove her. Besides Power of the Dark Side, but that wouldn't really do anything because you should be having 100 units on board at that point to get the coordinate working.
Exactly.
Yeah, you just got to see how well units stick to the board, because right now it's like multiple sentinels, then you just run all the units into the sentinel. So will you actually get coordinate off?
See, as saying, with the IG comment before, I think it depends solely on what cards we get in this set to see how strong she'll be. Because seeing cards that we'll see later, like the Trooper tokens, yeah, come out 2/2, pretty strong, depending on how easy they are to get on the board. But we then might see Bomb and Run coming back into the meta as a removal card,
True.
just to like wipe the board, just get rid of or anything that could possibly coordinate. So I think she looks strong potentially now coming out on 5. Obviously, it's the same turn as the biggest 5-drop problem, Boba. But Boba can't kill her on his own.
Boba unit
she's
can.
gonna,
Because
Boba unit can, yes.
If
That's
she doesn't,
potentially a problem there, isn't it?
Well, not with
But
the
not
new
if the
change, right,
unit's
with
ready.
Boba.
No, yeah.
So it doesn't
yeah,
do the
of
extra
course.
ability until the turn after she's deployed, right?
yeah, but if you deal with the
So again, yeah.
coordinate tokens, then she like attacks in, you claim, or like you let her attack and then just attack with Boba.
Well, with the bombing run thing, bombing run is 5 cost, so if she deploys and you play bombing run to kill all the tokens, you spent your entire turn just stopping all that, and then like, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like it's a great plan. It'll get rid of all that, but then anything that has more than 3
Mhm.
health is just going to live through that. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just going to depend on how the tokens do really, and how easy it is to buff. Because you think about stuff like General Veers, obviously it wouldn't work for the clones, but if they're probably going to have their own version, I'd assume. So we'll see.
Moving on to our next card. We literally just talked about the clone trooper tokens. So we've got Captain Rex, 6 cost, command and heroism. Keywords Republic, clone trooper. When played, create 2 clone trooper tokens, and he's a 4/4.
Yeah, I think on the surface he looks very strong because for 6 costs you get 8 power, 8 defense worth of units on the board at one go. He is basically a coordinate maker at 6 cost because he gets you those 3 units on the board.
I'm so excited for this one.
Yeah, I think it's
I
good.
really am.
It's like almost like, if you think about it, it's almost a cheaper U-wing in a way. Because U-wing was bringing your units out anyway for 7 or less, and some of them units would probably be like a 3/3 battlefield marine or something. This is giving you 2/2/2 tokens.
It's a lot less versatile.
U-wing's draw dependent as well.
But you think you're ever holding Ahsoka flip for this kind of turn to guarantee getting coordinate and the bonus damage?
I suppose, but then you run the risk of, oh, it's great, I put him on the board, 6 cost, I play it out, my opponent's also possibly at 6 cost, rivals fall.
I mean, judging by the cards as well, like Ahsoka and Rex both have the S, which means it will be starter sets, which means there has got to be some sort of like synergy where like these clone commanders are just going to drop loads of tokens, so Ahsoka manages to get that coordinate off, or other cards will also have coordinate, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it depends on how like lower units are doing the same sort of thing of spawning clone trooper tokens.
It's worth noting that he's in green though, and red-green has been like a staple of aggro for the longest time, especially in Heroes. So having these two together will probably happen in every single deck, I'd imagine.
Yeah,
That's true.
That runs Ahsoka, and obviously him being 6 cost and being in green. If you really wanted a ramp for some reason in aggro, which I don't know why you would, but you have the option, I suppose. Unless there's more things coming up, we'll have to see.
I think even on the flip side of it is that even if you just take him out of the Ahsoka mindset and you put him in the green mindset, he is an excellent unit for ramp. In the sense of that even if you get that 1 turn advantage there on turn 5, you've then got something that is no matter what else you've got on the board, you have got that 8 potential resources worth of shit on the table.
Yeah, so you will just have like 8 resources worth of units. I mean, you've also then got 3 bodies for them to deal with, and that's not including the turn after. When you'll be on 7, they'll be on 6. You could then have something with upgrades or something, or clones get upgrades, and then your clones are then going to be bigger and harder for them to deal with. Or you drop a sentinel, and that means they've then got 4 units to deal with. So
Yeah,
he has
because
plays.
they're going wider.
I am very surprised he's a starter rarity though, similar to the Anakin card. I think he's almost too prominent of a character to be confined to a starter set.
I'm assuming he's getting a leader card, that's probably why.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
he's going to
true.
get a leader card, and if it's a starter exclusive, he's probably going to be in the weekly OP packs like the rest of the starters. So you have
Oh,
an
of course he
alternate
would,
armor.
wouldn't he?
True.
It can be a hyperspace version,
Yeah, it'd be a
That's
hyperspace.
really nice.
Unless they do give him the like rare slot at the end, but a lot of starters tend to just be hyperspace
yeah.
versions.
I don't think they've done that with the starter.
Even the even the rare quantity stuff in the starter it's marked as a rare. It's not an S card, and so you will get 3 of these in the starter set.
Moving on to our next card, basic clone trooper token, 0 cost, heroism, keywords Republic, clone trooper, 2/2. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. Your Rex is going to be getting these out, 2 of them.
Yep. The first thing I'm going to say is invest in Snoke now. Okay, his prices are going to go up. Here it comes. Everyone invest.
True.
Yeah.
Snoke's gonna be good against these.
Yeah, Snoke making an
Benzo.
open. Anything that can just take health bars down, you'd be able to clear clone troopers off the board, no problem.
I would hope that we're getting a card that is like the opposite of Snoke for heroism, who buffs clones, so that there may be like 3/3s or potentially even 4/4s, but I doubt it'd be that strong.
Yeah, I can
I
imagine
mean,
them getting
like a
something
Veers.
like
Yeah.
Veers, like Dodonna.
Yeah,
So
you
that
will
way
get
they-
a Veers card for this, where it's
Probably
like buff
Cody, right?
Republic or buff clones
Yeah.
keyword.
Maybe Cody, yeah.
You could either keep it in the officer tree and go someone like Yularen, or they could go Cody or some other type of support, or even just
Yeah.
have it like a generic support platform.
Just an admiral of some sort or something, or even a Jedi. There could be a Jedi that buffs clones. Or it could be a Kaminoan. Kaminoan's
They
got buff
might
to
have to be
clones.
careful with it though, because if they make it like, I don't know, just buff all clones, then it's gonna have to be really expensive because the amount of things it can buff. It's gonna be a balancing nightmare on that one. We'll have to see.
Well, I think due to the power of clones, I think a buff unit won't be anything less than a 5. Because you've got the Donna on 4 and you have Vias on 3. Now, with Imperial and Rebel keywords, that's fine. But they don't have anything that can generate tokens.
That's what I'm
I think
saying.
you'd
Like,
be
they can only
surprised to see
buff
it.
like most of the time. They buff like maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 units at most. But with the tokens, if you deploy like a Cody that's +1/+1 for all clones, there's a potential that you could buff like up to like 5 units or something crazy with all these. We don't know how often you can spawn these tokens, but you have to be
You
careful
probably
with
are
them.
gonna get something like that though, because I mean, if you look at like something like an IG deck, the whole point of IG was like flood your board, flip IG out, everything gets +1, doesn't matter what it is. So there is a potential for something to just be like a +1/+1 like this for clones. I mean, there then could also be something not necessarily separatist based, but just something to answer that by going like all clones for this phase get -2/-2. You know what I mean? To like then counteract that, because there was cards this set which is like this is a really good card and like you can't counter it, but then it's just like okay, there is one soul counter, e.g. like Phantom for example, right? Everyone was running making an opening to deal with it. So there might be something where if all clones get buffed, you just run this card and that's solely to deal with the clone buffs.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
we
quite
could also see
possible
like a new
Separatists
leader
might
that
even
does the
get-
same thing as Tarkin. Buffing up clone troopers instead of like Imperial units kind of thing.
Yeah, like the tap for 1, give experience, attack and give experience. Yeah, I could see that.
Or temporary power cards like the +4/4 for the phase or whatever it is.
Or like academy training even.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Things like that, which make them good for a turn. And get something that goes wider.
Could be interesting to
Maybe
see you run this in a Ponkrell deck. If you remember Ponkrell, no one ever uses him. Double green.
Yeah.
When a unit dies, give something an experience, is it? Or is it draw a card?
Let's draw a card.
It's
Yeah,
draw a
it's
card, yeah.
So I think that, I mean, obviously that's thematic. They obviously did that on purpose, but
That'd be cool.
Quite interesting. And it is also quite interesting that Rex is green also, so he can fit snugly in that deck.
Yeah, you
In
could
that
like it'd be
sort
like
of
a
a-
double green, or
Yeah.
you'd run Krell out of aspect, so he costs a little bit more.
we'll
That
have
made
to
me
see.
go in 7 there.
Yeah.
See,
That's not great.
As far as these clone trooper tokens go, I'd quite like to see something which either buffs them or allows you to create them in the form of a base. And I
Yes.
know I'm dreaming there, but like the Camino cloning facility is a rare base.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think you already said you wouldn't do 25 health bases every set, but I
Yes.
think it is on maybe a 2-set cycle, so
Yeah, I was thinking
might
that. So
include
like
thematic
Spark
bases.
had our 25s, and then Shadows, because it wasn't, well, it was a full set by itself, but it was a more of like decks now. You see, set 1 decks with stuff in, or set 2 decks with Spark in. Whereas like set 3, just the theme of it in general, there's so much in the theme that I could probably see them doing 25s with something like a Camino facility where it's like tap this and like either spawn tokens or give tokens a buff. Same with like a droid factory or like Geonosis. It's like give droids a buff or spawn tokens for droids. That's highly possible.
See, they could always, because as we already have like the effect play on give something an ambush, give something a -4 on attack. You could have where it'd be like a rolling ability, tap the base, spend like 2 mana, spawn a clone token or spawn a droid token, and that would be its whole cause and effect. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yep. Clones might be crazy. And speaking of clones, our next card is the 332nd Stalwart. So this is going to be a 1-cost heroism card. Again, Republic, clone, trooper keywords. This has also got coordinate. When you do have the 3 units, it's going to give this unit gets +1/+1, and it's a 1/2. So it's a 2/3 basically if you have 3 or more.
Yeah, this is perfect for Ahsoka and like any of these go wide strats with coordinate. You know, getting these super cheap units that do just become stronger the more you got on board.
Yeah, only problem with it is even if you get coordinate off a 2/3 for 1, there's already quite a few of those, and they've never been too great. Obviously the 3 is great to make it tanky, but 2 attack is never really enough to kill things. I mean, it'll be good into tokens, I guess, but I don't know, we'll have to see on this one. Just take as many 1-drops as you can.
Do
I
those
suppose.
cards not normally come with like the bounty kind of drawback though? Those 2/3s we're seeing in like
I
set
think
2. and
some of
whatnot?
them do, yeah.
Like the
I think
antagonizers and
this card in general is looking toward, well, it's probably more looking towards what we were just talking about with the token, about like that just area of effect clone buff, because if you think about it, it's got the keyword clone, trooper, and republic, just like the tokens, just like Rex and everything. It's wants you to get that 3 or more coordinate off to get the +1/+1. So if you think about the tokens are 0 cost as well. So if you get Rex out, he gives 2 tokens. Say you're on 7 resources, you drop this as well, that's 4 units on the board. This gets buffed up to 2 other ones as well. And then next turn, if you have something that just goes, all of the clones get a buff, you're looking at lethal potentially on 25s.
Exactly. If you have it up with like 3 of these in your hand anyway, that's on turn 2 you're doing 6 damage on the board. And they're not easy to get rid of at 3 health, it's just a little too awkward for some units.
Yep.
And they would buff themselves as well. If you had 3 of these, they would all buff each other.
Exactly.
And they're neutral as well, so it's only hope.
I think looking at its, its stat line, it's pretty much bang on with all the other 1-drops in the game, with the exclusion of a few. You got like R2 in its sort of its 1-drop role. Outside of clone buffs, I can't really see you wanting to take too many of these though. Or,
Yeah,
they're only going a fully thematic deck. Because even looking at red, because we know the starter will be a red deck. The red 1-drop would be like Spec Force Soldier.
Yeah, and
that's just an immediate 2/2 and has a
Remove
potential to help you in the late game. Whereas if you're drawing these later on and you haven't got the board dominance, it's not going to last you as much.
Yeah.
I also think this having the S for starter as well is just showing you that, it might just be to either fill out the starter deck for like the theme, or there generally might just be some sort of event card that actually wants to do something with this deck. Because, yeah, I don't know. It's struggle.
It's rallying cry support, get that raid damage on them.
Yep.
That is true.
I do think though the art on this card is absolutely incredible.
Yep.
I think
Yeah.
this in one of the organized play hyperspace. I think that
I
would look
think
absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
I love the
I
back.
do hope
this
they
one,
I hope they do release like alternate art versions of some of the Star Wars, like the Clone Wars cards especially. Just like any of the clones in like any battles, just having that battlescape in like a hyperspace, or even an OP alternative of like Captain Rex, Commander Cody, will just be amazing.
Oh yeah, the old art's gonna look sick this set, definitely.
Right, well, moving on to our next card. Speaking of sick cards, I guess, is a 5-cost Anakin Skywalker. He's going to be red and heroism. It'll be a 6/6. Keywords will be Force, Jedi, Republic. Again, he's got coordinate, which his coordinate's different because on attack you get to draw a card if you have the 3 or more units. So, I don't know, interesting. I don't know if you want to be drawing cards, I guess, with red.
I think it plays into coordinate a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Obviously, the most important thing here is probably the 6/6 for 5.
Yeah.
Oh god,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it's basically recreating Poe Dameron, isn't it, really? It's like Poe Dameron was the 5 for 6/6 with just a lot of stuff for him, and this will probably be Twilight of the Republic, where it's a 5/6/6, and if you have them clones out, you're just going to get to, or just 3 units in general, sorry, then you get that extra draw on swing.
And it comes
I
in
think
the
this is
starter,
arguably
so it's cheap.
Yeah,
Unlike
true.
Poe.
Exactly, yeah. That's the thing, I think it'd be better than Polo because this is, for aggro, this is gas, where you're getting that extra draw power that, a lot of decks aren't just running draw cards because they're not worth it, but aggro wants to go faster, wants to have more options, and this is going to provide that.
True, especially if you're playing, like, if it is in the starter deck, it has this whole theme of just playing like clone troopers and giving them buffs and stuff. People won't be thinking like, oh, there's going to be a big body dropping out on 5. It's going to be like a buff or potentially more clones, and you just straight up just drop a 5-cost 6/6 on the board. That's like, okay, that's earlier than I thought it was going to be. They might not have an answer for it, and he's also in range of killing specific leaders like Sabine and stuff like that. So it's pretty good.
Also a good ECL target while he's at it.
Yep.
I was going to say, he makes excellent ECL fodder.
And kills Ahsoka, funny enough. So there you go. Just ECL out,
That's
kill Ahsoka. Let's go.
Well, I mean, I like the art in this card too.
Oh yeah, good.
Yeah,
I think this is
I don't think
Geonosis, right? I think
Looks
these are,
like it, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
be from the Clone Wars.
I don't think there's a single card that's been released so far that I've thought the art was a bit janky on it. I think this could be the strongest art-wise we've seen so far.
yeah, I think so far from what I've seen in set 3 with the previews, I think the art has just got better and better and better, and
Yeah.
set 3 really shows it.
Yeah, I think given the target audience and the people who are playing this game, this has got to be possibly some of the best art they will have to bring out, and it's not disappointed so far.
I mean,
It's
even
gonna be a
from
fan favorite
Shadows
set.
of the Galaxy, the OPs, the Jango Fett OP looks absolutely amazing. It literally looks
Oh,
like
it
a
does,
picture
doesn't
from
it?
a movie. Like some of the art in a lot of the sets have just been fantastic. And moving on, we will be looking at the Kuron Guard for 2 resources, straight up just command. And we have 3-2. Its tagline's going to be Republic, Clone, and Trooper. And this one has just got coordinate, but instead of drawing a card or giving it a buff, you are straight up ambushing if you have coordinate.
I think it's interesting that it's the first clone unit that we've seen that's not in its single aspect. I think it'll bring a lot of potential variance to it. I think maybe seeing it as some type of potential board clearing green decks, but from what we see from green, they're not really in villainy anyway. They're not really putting a lot of stuff on the board, not until at least the late game.
Yeah, it's also interesting to see that this one again just has the same tagline as a Republic, Clone, Trooper. Hopefully we're going to see some clones or Jedi even that are just going to have the same 3 tags, so you could potentially get work with other things from Shadows of the Galaxy or Spark of Rebellion. I mean, the Trooper's good because Trooper had there was some things in Spark of Rebellion that worked with Trooper, so again that's some crossover. But I'd like to see the clones potentially maybe have some other tags.
Yeah, this to me
I will
feels
s-
like a bit of a fodder card because unless you have the coordinate ready, it's just a 2/3/2, which is not amazing in this game right now.
Yeah,
No.
there's quite a lot of those around, and they're not
It's
used
kind
too
of like
often.
Gamorrean Retainer. Like Gamorrean Retainer relies on getting another green card against Sentinel, unless if you don't get that, sorry, it's just a 2-cost 3/2 that sits there.
But right now that's easier than coordinate, which is 3
Mm.
units.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I guess we got to see how quick coordinate comes out and how quick it's possible to establish 3 units on board.
and if your
Well,
I
plan
will
is
say
to
again
use
with the new tokens,
Yeah.
it could really help it. But
yeah, if your plan is to use the ambush and you spend like the whole turn relying on this ambush to happen, and then they just kill 1 token and you can't ambush anymore, and that was like your whole plan, it might just lose the whole game, especially in aggro.
Yeah. I don't really see it helping into ramp either. Like a 3-2 ambush, a 2, not really.
I mean, I see it being excellent coming out of something like a U-wing reinforcement. If you do actually get all 3 units out at the same time, then it's guaranteed to come out as an ambush unit.
Yeah,
That's true. That's good use of it.
because you could deploy it last on the U-wing as well. So you'd get like 1-2, and if you already had the unit on board, this comes out as your last one, and then you just use the ambush straight off.
And also, if there is like board-wide clone like unit buffing, this would be a lot better
Yeah.
with the coordinate buff.
I do see, looking at some of the other cards here, that like the next sort of lowest cost ambush unit for green is 4 cost. So, and it's not really it's not great, but if you've managed to somehow generate tokens or put a couple of cheap units on the board, you definitely got an ambush unit for the second turn.
Just to quickly say, I think the only thing that interacts with the clone keyword so far is Omega from the previous set and Shadows of the Galaxy, and all she does really is search the 5 cards in your deck. You draw clone units.
Okay.
You also ignore aspects on clone units, so if you want to run Rex to get more tokens in a non-green deck, you're gonna have to put a Omega in. But
I mean, that might not be bad to be
That's
fair
interesting.
though, trying to draw clones through using her.
yeah,
Because if your deck is primarily clone slash clone buffers, I mean, there might be event cards as well that have the keyword. Oh no, because it won't have keyword clone. No, never mind.
uh,
I guess searching for clones
can
would be
do.
bad.
yeah. There's a few clones already in the game as well that just have the keyword, like weird ones like the Clone Deserter, and then obviously you have the Bad Batch
yeah.
and Wolf as well.
Yeah. Oh, Wolf will be a perfect fit. Wolf's red heroism, right?
He's just red. He's got
Oh,
no
just
heroism
red.
ability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you needed anti-heal also for the clone deck, I think it's pretty good.
Yep.
Moving on to the opposite side of the Twilight of the Republic set, we're going to be having Separatists, which personally, I don't know about everyone else, but I'm probably looking forward to this one specific card. It's going to be General Grievous, who's going to be a cunning and villainy aspect. He's got an action. When you tap this card, give a droid unit Sentinel for this phase. His epic action is going to be when you control 6 resources, you can flip him out, and he's a 4/8. And his keywords are Separatist and Official.
I'm super excited for Grievous, and I'm really glad that he's not an upgrade stealer, because I feel like that's, even now we don't see many upgrades, and it's way too conditional to be good. So this is a much better action for him.
Yeah. I think maybe if they did a Grievous unit, which we might see, it might be something like that, but I don't see how good that would be. So yeah, it's a good thing he's not. I like this much better, much more thematic. He's just throwing droids in front of himself to make sure he doesn't get hit.
Yeah, there was that talk how Grievous could potentially come out and steal lightsabers or upgrades and it would benefit him in a way, but I agree with Max. I do think not having that is a lot better, and being more thematic and sacrificing droids is more Grievous' style, to be honest.
Yeah, cowardly.
This is way more flexible in the long run. Like, this opens up a lot more plays and options, especially with like some of the later units that we've seen, which you want to be attacked, and then he can enable that.
Also, his action, I think, can like even throw like not necessarily catch people off guard, but it affects a lot already. I mean, just one card instantly that's off the top of my head, like even Probe Droid, right? You put Probe Droid down, they want to attack the next turn, you just tap Grievous and give Probe Droid Sentinel. Like who?
Yep.
No one's going to really think, oh, Probe Droid's going to get Sentinel this way, so I won't be able to like instantly attack. So it might potentially be really good to stop aggro.
One was funny
why
is
finished?
IG-11 is a droid. You give him
IG-11.
Sentinel, and then if their only way to remove you is to capture, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
Capture him and take the 3 damage? Otherwise, they're hitting into a 6/5 with Sentinel.
And he's defeated too, so even if they decide to like run him over, he will just deal 3 damage to everything on the board.
Oh, it's only when he's captured the explosion.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was defeated too.
No, it just says if this unit would be captured, defeat him and deal 3 damage.
Oh, defeat. Yeah, okay.
I think looking at like what's in the game at this point, he doesn't look great, but the whole theme of the set is clones and droids, so we know he will be very good when we get to that release. I think just even thinking even simpler than that, we've seen the clone token and we will see the droid token eventually, but even if you just give something a 1/1, you know, it's Sentinel for the turn and you've only got 1 or 2 units on either side of the board, it's going to be so annoying to deal with.
Yeah, and that's the whole point of the deck, isn't it? You just get the battle droids out there, Grievous just shoves them in front of his face. Just, hey, take this shot for me, would you?
I can genuinely see him just being a better version of Chewie, to be honest.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Chewie very struggled because I guess of the colours more than anything, and it was give something Sentinel, but when Chewie was there, it was kind of, I don't know, it just didn't feel the same.
I
It was
I
like
think-
3 or less on Chewie as well, which
yeah,
is way
I
more
think
effective.
it's just
Thing
too limiting, really, to make him have a big impact on the game.
Yeah,
I think this is so flexible in comparison.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
Chewie.
is just so much better.
because it's literally any droid. So even like I mentioned before, the Pro Droid, even the medical droid, the 1 cost, you could give it Sentinel if you really wanted to. Like there is droids in the game already that you could just go, okay, I need a Sentinel so they don't attack me here. Let's just give it that.
Yeah,
You
even
can give it
stuff
to
like I know it's
Fallout
already
if
got
you
Sentinel, yeah. Fallout.
With Zuckus out at the same time, here you go, 5/5
It
Sentinel.
just it just gets
It's a
even
bit
worse.
daft, but like, you know, you can do it. if you
Oh
want.
no way, great combo guys, give it to the Dark Trooper, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it
So-
might not be too bad on the other side when we get to that.
Yeah. So talking about the other side, if we look at his flip side, he deploys on 6. He is still yellow villainy. His stats are 4/8, so he's quite a massive body. And then on attack, you may give a droid unit +1 and Sentinel for the phase. So instead of just giving the Sentinel keyword, you're also giving him +1 attack for the phase as well.
Yeah, it just gets better.
Yeah, I mean, it's just Boba, but bigger. Like the 4/8 stat line, I think is amazing. It's Cad Bane's stat line, which is one reason why
Yeah,
I
it's
like
not
Cad
raid.
Bane.
It's not
And it's not raid, true, yeah.
It's great.
That's a big thing, I think, because like, you know, with Cad Bane, when you're trading to Cad Bane, he's 2 on defense, which is like is worthless in most cases. But Grievous has that straight up 4 attack, so even on defense, he's doing a lot of damage to anything you want to trade into him.
What I was thinking could be funny is if you have a normal Sentinel down and then you keep buffing up a droid unit behind that sentinel, and then on attack you give that droid that you just buffed up to however much health and attack, just give him sentinel instead. I think that'd be pretty funny to do. They can't really get rid of.
Especially if it was a token that you got for free.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
I think there is options here. Like, I really like this card. Also, the fact it's got an official keyword.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that we've seen the Magna Guard that we'll see later on. The Magna Guard is in green, and there is already cards such as like the Emperor's Royal Guard that likes the official keyword. So there might be droids in this which will like to use the official as well to get some sort of synergy there.
Yep.
Also, with the new villainy keyword exploit, which we're about to see, when you're getting like these huge units out on like turn 3 and 4, and Grievous giving them Sentinel and stuff, that's gonna ruin like aggro mid-range decks that want to just go face. They've got to either take really poor trades or just wait and slow down entirely.
Yeah, I think Grievous might be one of them decks, or like the not even necessarily the deck, just the leader in general. Is like you're playing him not necessarily to stall, but like if you are struggling, you can just use the Sentinel keyword, and then you just bring out big bodies later on. I think that's just really good.
He's gonna be a nuisance if he can get going, which sounds great. You know, I don't like aggro, so it'd be great.
I think with him being in yellow as well, it just plays really well into the yellow kit that it has. It's just bouncing your stuff back to your hand. It's it's potentially just causing you all kind of problems. And then he goes, "Oh, by the way, you've got stuff on the board. Here's a Sentinel, deal with it."
Yeah. So like if you can't get rid of like everything with Cantina Bouncer, Waylay, New Adventure, Cunning, if you go, oh, okay, well, I'm out of bouncers, and they go, all right, attack, okay, cool, there's one that lets you, and then you just go, nope, Sentinel. Like, the Grievous is going to be a big problem in yellow.
I think as well it's important to remember that obviously in future we're probably going to get droids in space as well, in vulture droids and stuff. I think that'll be annoying to deal with, just on-demand Sentinel in either area, probably for cheap as well.
Yeah, because it will just stop. For example, like a deck in Shadows of the Galaxy currently is the Yellow Tarkin.
Yep.
If you can just get a vulture droid down and then just give it Sentinel just to stop the initial. And there might be cards like we have the droid tokens, not necessarily like space tokens, but you might get something that's like, oh, give droids an extra +2/+2, which means that vulture droid in space will also get that, and it has Sentinel. That's a problem.
Which right now there's almost no space sentinels, especially for cheap. Like the cheapest is the Black Sun, only villainy gets that. Obviously Grievous is villainy anyway, but like 3 cost, and then what? You got System Patrol Craft for 4. That's about it. So getting more access to space sentinels is going to be pretty important, I think, because space decks are really getting better.
But moving on, we've got the Battle Droid Escort, which has Grievous in the art, but it's not Grievous. It's a 3 resource card. It is black villainy. It's a 1/1. The keyword's a Separatist Droid Trooper, and it's when played / when defeated, it's create a Battle Droid token.
Well, this is your version of Rex for Separatists here. This one, I think, is even more versatile. Like, sure, 3 for a 1/1, but you're getting another 1/1. So basically a 2/2 for 3, and then if they kill it, there's another 1/1 on board. This obviously is going to work really well with the keyword called Exploit, which we'll go over in a second.
I think the card in general, though, it does what the clones do, which there might be another version of clone cards you haven't seen, but you're basically getting 3 1/1 tokens for the price of 1 card.
Yep.
I think this is the perfect target for Grievous's leader action. Perfect early target.
Yep.
Yeah, true.
I think that's
So
why
you
the
chop
art is
this.
that way. It just tells you that's what you should be doing with it.
It's a little tutorial on the card.
Yep.
So you literally play this card, get your 1 token out, give it Sentinel so something trades into it, or if not, you would play a card with Exploit. Exploit this card, get another token, and then you basically just got multiple battle droids on the field.
I think the power of this card is massively going to depend on how many early exploit cards there are that can take advantage of this.
I think the one that we've seen and now we understand a bit more, but won't be in this, is the ones from the con exclusive cards.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Ventress
So
being right there, I think she's a 4 cost with exploit 1 or 2 on that.
2, well,
But you can play it for free then on a
yeah, because it's
turn
Exactly on turn
2
3.
even, yeah, with this.
You play this and you get it out and you get Ventress plus another battle droid still on the table. I think it's, obviously you've got to draw the cards, but it's fantastic potential for when the next set comes.
It's
and
great early game tempo.
you could even potentially get stuff. So we've already seen things like Bib Fortuna that reduces the cost of events. But if there was cards specifically that reduces the cost of droid cards in your hand, you could potentially get this out for even cheaper than 3. Because there's nothing saying they couldn't add that to the game. So like, I don't know, some sort of droid buff type thing, but all droids in your hand cost 1 resource less to play. Imagine putting this out for 2. It's even better than when it was for 3. And if you could get something else that got it down again, you could play you're basically playing a 1-cost 1/1 that could potentially get 2 more tokens out.
You can
It's
already
very
do that,
possible.
man. It's called Jabba the Hutt leader. Here we go. Jabba the Hutt
Yeah,
band.
Sure.
Jabba runs pure battle droids.
Yes.
One way I looked at this card was that if like you're in like a later turn and you play this card, you could use the exploit to remove it to then get the extra token and then potentially exploit some more if you need it. So it's kind of like a little Russian nesting doll with like the tokens and getting more and more exploit cards out.
Yeah, you're basically trying to get battle droids, and then you're basically exploiting all the battle droids so they get better units for a lot cheaper to get ahead of your opponent. It's almost a mini ramp, but very fast if you can get it to go.
This one will be very funny because it's in yellow, because you have access to Waylay and a new adventure which you can play on it if you wanted to, and just keep spawning tokens really fast if you wanted to.
That is true, actually. You could new adventure this card, so you could play it,
Oh, yeah.
get the token, new adventure this card, play it again to get another token. So that means there's 3 already. And then if you did give the Sentinel to kill it, and then when it's killed, you get another. So you'd have 3 tokens just by playing this and new adventure on 5.
I think double yellow Grievous is going to be real, man. I think it's going to happen.
Dude, I
It
can't
probably
wait
will be,
now.
Even cunning, you can bounce your own card back to your hand with it, right? So just
Yeah.
keep going, man. Just keep going.
I think this card is potentially one of the most versatile cards of the set, just because it's neutral. I think
Yeah.
everyone's going to be wanting to get as many little tokens on the table, and depending on what cards come, it could
That is-
be one of the most important cards.
We'll see.
That is true, because exploit won't necessarily be just limited to like separatist cards. There could be clone cards, or just like bounty hunters. There could be senators. There could be anything from Twilight of the Republic that will have exploit. And just having a 3-cost villainy card that can potentially get you 3 bodies, and they use exploit to get themselves out. Like Chris said, it's a very good way to get anything out. So yeah, I do think this will be a very versatile card.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to see how far we can take exploit this set with what units get printed.
Yep.
And moving on to our next card, which is one of General Grievous's right hand men, is the General's Guardian, which is going to be a 4-cost resource card. It's going to be green and villainy. It's a 4/4 body. Tagline's going to be Separatist and Droid, and its wording is: when this unit is attacked, create a battle droid token.
So this is then pushing Grievous into green as a more control option, really. I'm
Yeah.
guessing.
Yeah, I also
think-
think it's just going to be with his keyword, because you give this Sentinel, something hits it, droid token, and basically keep snowballing from there.
It is interesting that it doesn't have Sentinel in some way, just off the rip. You have to have Grievous to give it Sentinel, kind of. It's kind of interesting. I thought they would have just gone the route of giving it Sentinel in general.
I
Unless
think
you-
it just
balancing
falls into the
reason,
same. I was going to say, I think it just falls into the same category as the Emperor's Guards,
Yeah,
because it doesn't have Sentinel unless you've got an official or Palpatine there, and then it gets a passive buff from Palpatine. I think
Yeah.
this card, although just being like a bog standard 4/4 stat line, I don't think it'll see much outside of Grievous for that very obvious reason.
yeah, I do think it's a card that, like Chris said, unless it's in Grievous, is not going to get played. I mean, I'm just thinking about like green leaders right now. There's nothing where you'd be like, I need this, especially again, unless exploit is filtered out more widely in this set. Then potentially, because you could like give this something. I mean, you might get a card like Protector in blue, where it's just a 1-cost, give it an upgrade to Sentinel, so you might get a green version of that.
Yeah, we could
But
have like a timely equivalent, like timely intervention equivalent, where it's like give Sentinel for this phase, like just a 1-cost upgrade. Or
Yeah.
something.
Or maybe you just use timely, and then I know because time, because when
Has
this
to be
unit gets
attacked,
attacked.
But
Yeah.
I think, but people aren't just like gonna see that and go, "Oh, I want to attack it then because I don't want to spawn droids," because then you're just getting a 4/4, just hitting your base over and over again, and you're just not doing anything about it. So obviously you're gonna trigger this at least once, but 4 health is also pretty awkward to get rid of because most things do add 3 damage, especially early on.
I think where this card lacks a little bit, it's just very susceptible to some of the spell cards you've already got. dies to open fire, dies to a takedown. You know, even if it's,
Mhm.
I wouldn't say it'd be the only thing given how the set's going, but the power of the dark side just removes this.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at them stat line, it is the same stat line as Rex, and Rex has 2 more resources than this. However, Rex, I would say, has a better when played, whereas this is relying on you to be hit. But again, if you play this, they put Rex out, this just trades into Rex, no problem, which
mean-
means Rex is up to build.
This is definitely a key target to put 1 million upgrades on, just to keep printing battle droids. If you keep putting like academy training on this, make it a like 8/8 or something, and they keep smacking into it. I don't know.
I mean, there's
it's pretty
nothing
funny.
stopping you from playing blue with this and just putting electro staffs and everything onto it, and
I
then
mean,
just
I guess
keeping
that's
it
what he's
alive.
got, right? In the image.
Entrench it.
That's what you got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Entrench is a good idea. Shove that.
Entrench and just keep making it sentinel.
Yeah.
So that's
I
the
mean-
problem there is Grievous is yellow.
Oh, of
and,
course, he's yellow, isn't he?
Yeah,
You're
it's not
yellow
gonna work
green.
then.
You're running that
Mm.
for however much that is. I don't know.
See, it's like, I'll look at it, and I know it looks okay on paper, but like, just even some of the other 4-cost cards in green, it doesn't really compare to well. It'll die to an escort skiff, so if your opponent's got something on the board, you know, it'll come out with ambush. The modded cohort for heroism,
Yeah.
again, it'll just die straight away to that.
But that
Again,
does create a
it's,
droid though if they do that.
It does create the token doing that.
Looking at the card again with that S in the bottom right, looking at it, is it like, did they add this because they needed something thematic wise for the starter deck, or is the starter deck on a more broad thingy? Does it have something like Protector where you can give the Sentinel, not just Grievous giving it Sentinel, or can you give an upgrade to this where in some way, like, it's forced to be attacked? You know what I mean? It's not just sitting there, and then it's like, okay, gets traded in once, loses the 4/4 body, and you just get a 1/1 battle droid on the board. Like, there might be something there.
I wouldn't be
It's just,
surprised if it is just filler, to be fair, because you can't really have Grievous in a starter set without his Magna Guards.
That's true.
Yep.
That's what I was looking at it as. Is like, have they just done this for a thematic, or do they have a set wide way to make this a good card? Because
I think
a lot of the cards in general in starter decks across like Spark of Rebellion and Shadows of the Galaxy have been used. Like Grogu has been used. I mean, other cards in Spark of Rebellion have been used from the starter decks. Like, the starter decks do provide some cards that are good. I mean, Phase 3 Dark Trooper from Shadows of the Galaxy is one card that pops up in most green decks. So, but I don't see this being that card. I don't know if it's just.
I think that ability could have been put on any other card just as easily. First thing that comes to mind is if they make, is it the MTT troop transport, the big
Yeah.
droid tank, the brown
Yeah.
one? If they make a card like that, I think it could have just as easily been put on that.
Mhm.
So I think the fact that they've put it on there is just because you've got Rex who brings out the tokens for the clones, and it thematically fits with Grievous.
See, I think they just tried to. I think you are right. They have just tried to keep it thematic. I think, you know, thinking back to episode 3, one of these lost their heads on Grievous's bridge, and then it just carried on fighting. I think that's kind of what it's meant to represent. It was like, okay, you kill it, there's still something else to deal with.
Yeah, so you do damage to it basically, and you're still getting a reward in a sense. Yeah, I see that happening. I mean, this card creates Battle Droid tokens. So speaking of our next card, it is going to just be the Battle Droid token. It's a 0-cost resource card, just black villainy, 1/1, keyword Separatist Droid Trooper. I mean, pretty much the same as the clone, apart from this is a 1/1, whereas the clone's a 2/2. So yeah, I don't know.
Difference is you're not trying to keep these on board. You're trying to sacrifice them, so they're
Yeah.
not for attacking. It's the only thematic difference.
They're gonna be cannon fodder basically. You're gonna get cards to make a load of these, and then using exploit and other cards, probably you're just gonna get rid of these. Or potentially there might be, like we mentioned with the clones, an AoE buff that manages to give droids a better stat line. So if you do somehow get loads of battle droids out, they will all not be 1/1s. They might be 2/2s, 3/3s, and
Yeah.
just go
Whereas
crazy.
the IG-88 Daring Raid win strat, you know,
That's true.
go crazy.
I do think it hints towards the fact that we're going to be seeing a lot more of these in the field than the clone trooper tokens.
Yeah.
Just given the stat line, there's got to be a lot more of them about, a lot more cards that bring them out easier, should I say, as opposed to the clones.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the idea, given the 2 tokens and the 2 new keywords we've seen, are that, you know, one token, you should get them out like relatively quickly, and you shouldn't be scared to also get rid of them yourself very quickly.
Like we've discussed, I think it will just be in terms of get these out quick, use your exploit, get the big units out, and then if you do have these and there is a buff, then you can do it. But then also going back to Jack's point when we spoke about the clones, about them potentially being a 25 base Camino where you can make clones, there's also nothing stopping something like the droid transport that makes 1/1 battle droids. There's nothing stopping a droid factory making 1/1 battle droids. So if you can get a lot of these on the board, and then even if you have a card that just goes for this phase, all droids get +2/+2 for like, for example, a game ender because you have like 5 battle droids on the board and you need to do 10 damage, it's very possible.
I'm really curious if we'll see people's playstyle with like more aggressive decks change up to wanting to trade into these units if they're that good with exploit and whatnot.
Yeah, because currently aggro just wants to hit face, like just get as much damage on base as possible and try and ignore trading where they can. Where, like you just said, Max, I think if these droids are on the board and they are getting buffed, or like even if you just want to get them off the board to stop that exploit, aggro might have to change its game plan.
Well, that's the thing, is like, is exploit going to be scary enough that aggro needs to consider trading into these so that they don't have to deal with the much bigger units that are coming out on like really early turns for these decks?
I think there's some type of potentially really good playstyle with how aggressive these can be, because say you go into an aggro matchup, you go, okay, I'll just kill my own stuff to cheat other units out quickly, or you go into say like a blue deck where they'll just remove your big units. You go, okay, I'm just going to keep as many little fellas on the board as possible. That way they'll struggle to remove them.
Mm-hmm.
I think as well a leader that's gonna really love these is gonna be Palpatine. Gonna love to
Of
sack
course,
these
yeah.
off to keep
Oh,
going
yeah.
and dealing the 1 damage for free. Now you've got ever
Definitely.
before things that you weren't really happy to sacrifice. These guys, you just get rid of them. Who cares?
And
Even going
consider-
back to that other 3-cost card we've just gone over before, it's just that's a perfect Palpatine card. You then have your potential 3 units you're more than willing to sack. It's great.
because it's a 3-cost, just pure villainy. That's 1 unit. When you play it, you get another unit, and then when it dies, you get another unit. So Palpatine's just benefiting from going, I need the card, let's kill that. I need the card, let's kill that. And he's just killing all the B1 battle droids that he just doesn't need.
True.
One thing I'll say to worry about with these guys though is anything with ambush and overwhelm. They're just gonna be
Yeah.
hitting
Yeah.
right through and just doing the damage right through to the base. Easy target for them.
Speaking of exploit, our next card is the Hellfire Tank. It's going to be an 8 resource cost card. It's just pure villainy. The stat line is 7/6. The keywords are Separatist, Droid, Vehicle, and Tank. Its wording on the card is Exploit 2. While playing this card, defeat up to 2 units you control. This card costs 2 less for each unit defeated this way.
So that's what I'm on about with aggro maybe wanting to trade into these droids to stop things like this coming out on turn 3, because 7/6 on turn 3 is crazy. You know, it's a wrecker, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting that
overwhelm.
it doesn't have overwhelm though, so if you can just really bog this up with sentinels if you really wanted to. Sure.
It's got to be balancing though, right? Surely not
Yeah.
having overwhelm.
I mean, it's like because the ATST is like similar stats, right? But it has overwhelm, but it comes out on 6, so I don't know.
Well, if you look at it in terms of the Battle Droid Escort, it's a 3 resource card, right? You have this in your hand. You play the Battle Droid Escort, and you get the when played droid. So let's say you are playing against aggro, and they don't trade the B1 Battle Droids. Next turn, on 4 resources, you have this card, and you can play this card by exploiting 2 of the B1s on board, and it comes out for 4 resources and not 8. So then there's a 4-cost 7/6 on the board, which aggro needs to then deal with.
Especially if they got like an ECL or something where, you know, in 3 turns you put them to, you know, very little health if they don't want to get rid of these things. Because they'll never win that race, realistically.
Yep.
I
I
mean,
think those 2 cards in combination, the 3-cost card, I think it's almost like a droid U-wing reinforcement in a way, because for 7 resources you are getting a battle droid token at the end of it and this on the board.
I would also like to see what the keyword for tank is, because I can't remember. Did the pirate battle tank from Shadows of the Galaxy have the keyword tank? It must
Pretty
have, right?
sure that does, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's not too many. There's 3 right now. There's a cargo juggernaut, pirate battle tank, and then the grit siege tank that no one uses.
Oh,
so-
the Spark one.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, will they ever do anything with like keywords like tank? Because so far there's tank, there's also fringe. We don't know, like fringe doesn't really have anything that works with it. And there's another one I can't remember on the top of my head. Because the cargo juggernaut has a Clone Wars version of that, the turbo tank. So tanks might get some synergy keyword wise, but that was just
Yeah.
wishful thinking, I guess.
We'll see. Yeah.
I do think we'll see the Republic get their hover tank as well. As,
Yeah.
I mean, there is potential for it there. Heroism at the moment has its vehicle buffing keyword with Wedge. Him, of course, being a 5 cost, so I know it doesn't synergize well with this, but potentially does with future vehicles. I think it's just a bit too slow being that late in the game.
But this is just a really good example, just like of the previews we got so far, and how this in Asajj Ventress on how powerful exploit can be, because you're getting a really high resource card. Basic in Asajj Ventress's case, she can be played for free almost if you do have that 2 units on the board that can sacrifice both of them. And this, you're basically halving its cost if you can just exploit 2 battle droids, since this
It's
is going to be so
high.
cheap.
It's high risk, high reward though,
Yeah,
Yeah.
because in a lot of ways you could be clear. I think you need at least 3 units out before you can consider playing this on turn 3. Personally, just to avoid a power of the dark side. Otherwise, I think it's a completely pointless play against a lot of control decks.
Well, that's what I think. As we were saying, with in combination with that 3 cost card, there is another chaff unit there to potentially deflect it. If you do this on on 4 resources, you can't vanquish it. Yeah, you'll get at least a turn out of it.
And also, if you're in yellow with Grievous, you can buff this to like 10 attack really easily the next turn, which is brutal for most decks that aren't going as fast as you.
Also, if you're in yellow, say if you were playing like double yellow, you could even stack Cunning on this for a +4. Like that's a lot of damage coming to base. You could give this surprise strike even again damage to base. Like there's a lot of stuff in just yellow with Grievous that this Hellfire tank itself could just get buffed and just run the board over.
But we're also thinking about it, to the extreme. But even if you just exploit 1 battle droid unit, this is still very good as a 6 cost unit.
Yeah.
It lacks kind of its ability, but if you're in a tight squeeze, getting that out 7/6 for 6, still very good.
It's a good body. Like if you need to trade into like smaller units, if you can get this down, like Chris said, for 6 resources, you can trade this a few times into the smaller units and you'll be fine.
Well, even as we
Also,
were saying, go on.
any early leader flip has no chance against this. Like this might stop some leaders actually flipping due to how much damage it presents early game.
Yeah.
Just kill Boba right out. Go on.
I mean, you think about it with Grievous as we've seen him. You could put this out on the same turn as him. He deploys, he attacks, and then, oh yeah, nice trying to return some damage. Here's an 8/6 Sentinel.
Yeah.
You see 12 damage in that flip turn with those 2.
Obviously, his main weakness though is Fell the Dragon on that one, though.
Yeah.
4 costs just to remove it. They've got answers.
That's probably why you're looking to get that exploit so you can get it out before.
Yeah.
And even
before
then,
big removal comes online.
You're also then hoping to have other units and not just this on the board. So even if Fellow Dragon does come out, if you just have B1 battle droids in a go and constantly 1/1, or if there is a buff card for droids, you're hitting for maybe 2-3 with each droid. This comes down, okay, Fellow Dragon takes it off, but you've still got more droids on the board that are doing something.
I think it's just a massive tempo stop as well. Because say you got this out on turn 4, you go, okay, yeah, going into 5 resources, it can get vanquished, but that's your opponent's whole turn is getting rid of that, and you've got 5 resources open to potentially do something with.
Yeah.
We might as
In
well
general-
talk about Asajj Ventress now, right?
Yeah.
Now we know the
Yeah, we might
exploit,
as well,
how
yeah.
exploit works. So Ventress is exploit 2 as well, but she's a 4 cost, which means she can come out for 0 just by, sacking 2 droids. Which, as we're talking about with the Escort droid, that's a pretty easy way to get that out. on turn 3 you just play the Escort droid, and as long as you got Ventress in hand, you basically play those 2 out and then immediately play Ventress. And there you go,
Yeah,
your
what's
board
she-
just filled
she's
with
She's a 4-cost aggression villainy card as well.
yeah.
So I think that just she plays perfectly into red being the aggro colour. Get it out, you go, okay, get rid of some 1 costs, and there she is, just dominating the field early.
If you can exploit her and she comes down for free, and then on attack, if you attack with another separatist, let's just say you swung with just a 1/1 battle droid, right? She then turns into a 5/4, right? Which doesn't even necessarily mean that you have to, hit base. If they say Sabine flipped out, right? You could just hit Sabine with this and it's fine.
Yep, this kills pretty much every early game leader that comes down on 4 or 5. There's a few,
Yeah,
obviously,
I
like
think so.
Ahsoka we were talking about. She can't be killed by this, but it's not too hard to buff
No,
him by
of
1
course.
attack.
No, absolutely
Yeah.
not.
I
I
also
think
am
even
interested.
coming out of something like ECL, giving her ambush on, without exploiting, she's very good, as we just said. Playing into an aggro like Sabine, just squashes her straight away.
Or if you played her in Kylo and put a fallen lightsaber on her or something on the Kylo flip turn, that'd be kind of insane. The amount of damage you'd be
It
doing.
would be very good, yeah.
I'll probably
So
be using it.
interested because card says S on the bottom, but I don't believe it's a starter deck card.
Yeah, it just
No,
means
No,
special.
that's from
GenCon.
the convention one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just means special. Or even the
I don't know
Vader
what-
and that has
yeah.
S on it in that collection. So
I think
No,
she'll
very
be, at least a rare, probably.
I think she's
Yeah.
a
I
rare,
think-
Yeah.
I think,
It's got the foil at the bottom, so
yeah.
Could
I
also
think
just be
we'll
a
got the foil at the
legendary.
bottom just for that, but just for being that convention card. But
well, that's what I was curious about.
I think- if she's a legend, I think she'll see less play because it's a
Legendaries
lot
tend
hard
to be
to pull.
yeah.
But I think if she's a rare, she's probably one of the most in-demand rares for the set.
Yeah,
Just off what
especially
we've
with
seen
the
so far.
separatist keywords and stuff.
Yeah,
She
Yeah,
also
like
does
more
come
rare.
with the keyword Sith, which is a keyword that we've seen on Dooku, I believe. Yeah, but we haven't seen actually utilized. So we might see some utilization with the keyword Sith, just the same
Yeah.
way that we've got Mace Windu, who has the keyword Jedi, but again wasn't really utilized in any of the sets. So again, we might see that played in Twilight of the Republic.
If we don't see anything here to do with Sith, that one set that they announced that's coming up that's based around Force, yeah, we're definitely going to see something there.
Yeah.
But that's a few
God, yeah.
sets out, so
Yeah.
Well, our final card to round out the Twilight of the Republic previews from GenCon is the 2 resource cost yellow black card Separatist Commando. It's a 2/3 body. Its keywords are Separatist, Droid, and Trooper. And its wording is while you control another Separatist unit, this gains Raid 2, which you're definitely going to be controlling Separatist units, especially if it's a 2 cost.
yeah, I think the stats on this one, if it's getting the raid 2, 4/3 for 2 is nuts.
Yeah, I just think in general, especially if if this does come in the starter deck, or just pair this up with any of the previous mentioned droid token machine makers, this is always going to have raid 2. I don't see this not having raid 2 unless your board's getting constantly cleared.
Or you mulligan and that's your only turn 1 play.
Yeah, you play
Which
this
even
on
then-
turn 1, and then turn 2 you play the battle droid Escort and then attack with this.
And then this is ready with Raid 2.
Yep. There you go, there's your 4/3 on turn 2.
And it's any separatist as well, so there could just be separatists that in general are cheap, because separatist could mean anything. I mean, Grievous is a separatist, but doesn't have the keyword droid. He just has separatist and official.
Yep.
So separatist might not necessarily be droid separatist. You might get something like a 1 cost, like the Hyblan Enforcer is a 1 cost 1/4. You might get something similar where it's a 1 cost, I don't know, 1/3, or the same as Moisture Farmers an 0/4, but it might just have the separatist keyword, something
Like
that.
Nuke Gunray or something.
Yeah, there might just be something. I mean, even then, we were speaking that New Gunray might be in the set as a leader and have some sort of synergy with separatist droids, more space synergy, something like that. But overall, that's the separatist commando is a good card. In general, I think all the previews that we've seen from the convention itself were pretty good. Anyone got any final words to say or anything that they would like to say?
Yeah, there was a few combos I forgot to mention. The clones, right? 2/2. Imagine you put down red 3, okay, their hero. You get
Oh,
rated
yeah.
1 on
Yeah.
every single clone. That's pretty strong.
That's true.
And the other
That is
one
good.
was for villainy, the B1s. You play general tag, you can give 3 experience tokens to trooper units. All the B1s are troopers, so
Yeah, so that's what I
Yeah.
was thinking. How in like previous sets there was that trooper synergy there, because I remember the cheap way for people to get into Spark of the Rebellion was doing the Moff Tarkin Trooper deck, or
Mhm.
Tarkin Trooper as a nickname. So clones will benefit off that synergy too. Not necessarily Tarkin, but in general, there is cards that will help like you just mentioned, the troopers. And considering the separatists, this separatist commando also has trooper, so it might also benefit from this.
there'll be more as well. Because right now we've only got pretty much tag and precision fire, which is precision fire if it's a trooper, it gets +2, and saboteur. That's a good event as well. That's not too useful with B1s, I guess. Give them a +2, sure, but
Well,
But
we're
yeah.
gonna see this thing of like, I don't know, are you gonna use your droids to sacrifice them, or are you gonna be like an IG player and go wide with them, and then they're gonna be the problem themselves, hitting your
Well,
face?
like when these cards are shown off, a lot of people say an IG might actually become somewhat viable because he himself is a droid. So if there is that thing of like buffing droids board wide, he's then buffing himself, so he's not going to be a 5/4. He might be a 5/6 or sorry, a 6/5. So he might not get one shot instantly. But he's also then given everything raid 1, so all the droids will be 2/1s in a way.
I
So
think this might be the first set where we can see a like potential like OTK line in some decks if like this board wide buffing does become a thing.
yeah, you
yeah,
buff them all with that, and then you play Final Showdown and just get all your B1s ready again, and just
Yep.
just hit the base for a million again.
because I mean, even if you had the play, if you managed to get Bib for Tuner in to make that final showdown cheaper, it would be 5. So you could potentially end the game on 5 resources.
Yep.
If you could get everything to work. But I mean, final thoughts on the set. I might as well just go down the list. Max, starting with you. Any final words on the set?
Honestly, for considering that these are probably all starter cards or like in the starter decks, super solid off the bat already compared to set 2, which like was a bit lackluster on the starter side. So yeah, I'm excited already.
All right. Excited was the word used there. Martin, anything to follow there?
I'm really enjoying this set so far. My favorite decks are sometimes the ones that make use of the Imperial keyword or Rebel keyword, so it's good to see a lot like this. It also buffs a lot of the weaker leaders from this set, like Moff Gideon and Bosk. Bosk, you can do the 1 damage to any tokens, just claim your bounty twice. Pretty good. I think this one is going to be really good to buff previously unplayed leaders.
All right. Chris, any final words on set 3?
I think it just seeing these, these 12 cards. I think it just speaks to the health of the game and the sort of careful eye that FFG have gone over by not just jamming like known stuff into one set at a time. I think by spreading it across the board and doing it, I think it speaks to how healthy the game's going to be in 2-3 years time.
Yeah, I do agree on that point. Actually, I'll just reiterate that the fact that they're spreading like certain thematics throughout multiple sets and not just dumping them all into one set, it will help the game grow. Especially if you want to start at a later point, you don't have to just go all in buying one set. You can go, okay, I need a couple of singles from a previous set, and it'll happily work across sets basically. Okay, final thoughts, Jack?
I mean, just thematically alone, this is my favorite era within the Star Wars universe. I cannot wait for this set, and I think the tokens just top it off for me. I think being able to go wide with all of them is it's going to be so fun. I'm so stoked.
I mean, I agree. My final thoughts would probably be what Jack just stated. Thematically, this is the set that I was probably looking forward to the most. It is the set that I grew up watching: Star Wars, the prequels, the Clone Wars cartoon TV show. So I honestly can't wait. Probably gonna make a Grievous deck when it comes out. Even might just upgrade the starter deck if he's in it. But yeah, I think that's it. So thank you everyone for watching. This has gone Gang's Set 3 preview discussion. If you're interested in more content, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. We also do gameplay on the channel, so go check that out. We also have shorts where we open packs. Might also, see a couple of box openings soon, especially if Set 3 is around the corner. I'll definitely be opening a lot of boxes of Set 3 since it's my favourite. But yeah, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more. Thank you very much.
Bye, Snokes! Bye, Snokes now!